What up, y'all? What up? Brought to you by Polar Seltzer. Though I saw the Fever's schedule release was sponsored by LaCroix, so I'm for sale. Whoever wants to come my way. Anyhow, it had been a minute since I've done a live, and I figured in the midst of this drought, barren wasteland of a WNBA offseason, we won't get a better opportunity to hook up and chat than this schedule release that happened today. The full schedule put out by the WNBA. As you can see here, the WNBA schedule for you right here. It opens Friday, May 16th. The Atlanta Dream against the Washington Mystics and the Minnesota Lynx and the Dallas Wings, the two first games of the season. Obviously, that Wings-Lynx game is overwhelmingly likely to feature the debut of Paige Beckers. Then there is the Sparks and the Valkyries. That will be the first ever game for the Golden State Valkyries. Saturday, May 17th. Big time schedule. As you see, the Sky and the Fever, the first game for each of those teams, and the Aces and the Liberty, which is about as marquee as things can get. The schedule starts, as you see there, in the middle of May, and it runs through September. 44 games this year. The biggest noteworthy takeaway early came from the Indiana Fever's schedule, as everyone noticed who they are playing, not only to start the season, but who they are playing the most this season, that being the Chicago Sky. The Fever and Sky open the season against one another on May 17th. They play 5 times. Indiana does not play another opponent 5 times all year long. That is the WNBA decision makers wanting to capitalize on the eyes that the Sky and Fever matchups bring, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese bring when they are on the court together. I mean, Kathy Engelbert said as much. Remember, she got kind of what is it? She got roasted a little bit for saying she leans into it because of the money aspect of it, but that's what a business does. I can't really be mad at her for that. It does, a couple things. One, something that some folks have noticed is that Kelsey Mitchell is featured prominently on a lot of this promotional material from the Fever. Not only that schedule graphic I just showed you, but the WNBA All-Star graphic that was also shared by the Indiana Fever. And the Fever, in Indiana, the All-Star game, that's going to be a big deal this year. I mean, a massive, huge event. And as you can see, there's Kelsey in that regard. July 18th through 19th in Indianapolis. So that will be one of the marquee events of the WNBA season. There is no question. But unfortunately, we got a ways to go. I mean, it's December 2nd today. So January, February, March, April, May, 5 months. In between, the expansion draft is actually Friday. That will be on television, which will be cool to see who winds up with the Warriors sans their first-round pick, who was protected or not. We won't get the full list of who was protected, but you would damn sure know who wasn't protected by the selections that the Valkyries make in that expansion draft. Free agency is really going to heat up at the end of January and into February. And then in between then and that time, you'll have Unrivaled in January on the college level, March Madness, of course, and then the WNBA draft and the WNBA season. But, I mean, just seeing the schedule get released, I think saw a lot of people get kind of amped up and excited today. And it's, no shock that the Sky and the Fever would be featured prominently, but, that's a lot of Barbie nights, right? How many Barbie nights can there be in one year? But that's the story of the schedule release, I guess, if you will. At first, you notice that it was those two teams to start, which is okay. There they go. They're starting. And then it was like, oh wait, they're playing 5 times. to open the season 5 times. That's quite a bit. Quite a bit of games between those two teams to kick off the WNBA season. But look, if they could schedule that every game, I'm sure they would, right? I'm sure they would. Let's, I don't have too much else to add because it's not like there's news here. So I'll go to the members first. Matthew Muses says, "What's up, Robin? What's up, Matthew?" AJ says, "F1 guy in the house." And then he asks if we're going to go down the line and give wins and loss predictions. That's what we do in the NFL schedule releases. Well, there's 17 games in the NFL schedule release. This joint has 44. I'll say that the Fever will go 44-0. That's, you heard it here first. 44-0. I don't even have to go through the schedule. But that is the difference. And all jokes aside, that's the difference for the Indiana Fever this year, where no matter who they're playing, you can consider it a possible win. With another year under their belt, with a better coach on the sideline, with the roster additions they are likely to make, I think you can say that they will be that they can win every game on the schedule. Not that they will win every game on the schedule, of course they won't, but that they are capable of winning every game on the schedule. Matthews Muses says, "Stoked for the Fever, July 11th and 13th, flying in for those two." Which games are those? Let me pull the schedule back up so I can see which games you're even talking about there. I do like the fact that I can highlight other stuff now too. It's not even just the Fever. Obviously, the Fever are the biggest needle movers and everything. What do you say? July 11th through 13th. So that is Atlanta and Dallas. There you go. Atlanta and Dallas right before the All-Star break. But the fact that the Aces and the Liberty feels like an event, the fact that Paige's debut will feel like an event, the Valkyrie and what they do feels like an event. I think all of that is really cool. And just further fuel for what we've talked about with the growth of the sport and women's basketball and the interest around the league. I mean, Indiana is a whole different animal. I mean, I did a separate video on this you can check out, but CBS Sports showed Caitlin Clark sitting there at a Butler game clapping, and that sucker has 4 million views, which is just insanity if you really think about it. And the Fever led in attendance, led in ratings, and all that stuff. But you can see that trickle-down effect happening. Like, we all feel it and see it. We saw it with the WNBA Finals last year. I think you've seen it with Unrivaled to an extent, just the discussion around the start of that league. The discussion around the draft and Paige and not wanting to go to the Sparks per se, and comparing the future players that are coming into the players that are there. There's just so much. I'm assuming I don't even have to look again, but the Fever aren't going to be hit with that 11 games in 20 days business. I'm imagining that's not happening this year. It's really hard to keep track of the entire thing and fast forward that far because it is so far in advance. But I gave you the main talking points for the season as is coming up in May. It's a long ways away, but I didn't think there was going to be a better chance for me to do a live than this. But we'll do one around the expansion draft too. Why not? That sounds fun. I don't know if Kevin is around. AJ, maybe hit him up on our text thread and see if he wants to come and talk some Kendrick and Drake at the end of this episode too. We've been going. AJ's like the third wheel in this text chain I have with Kevin and him. And Kevin's like the biggest Drake fan who's ever lived. And I'm just like relentlessly troll him about Kendrick Lamar. And we'd be going back and forth in that text chat all day, every day. And I don't think AJ has any idea what we're even talking about most of the time. And then he of course likes to, AJ's a trained troll. So he gets involved in that. All right, let's go through some of the other comments that I got coming in here, as it is a big WNBA day for the beginning of December. Christmas has come early. The NFL is so funny. I used to always mock the NFL schedule release because you kind of always knew you're playing the division teams, and you knew what other divisions you were playing in a given year. So it was never like that revelatory, and it was always so far away that I just couldn't get excited about team names on pieces of paper. But here I am. So I'm a hypocrite. I apologize for my hypocrisy in this instance, though you only know of it because I just shared it with you, I suppose. How about, what do we got here? DWG, Caitlin and Paige are going to be the true rivalry. The Angel rivalry is the WNBA trying to make more dollars off of Caitlin. I think the W likes all the hard fouls because of the publicity. I don't think that game's about hard fouls, to be honest with you. But I think it's just about milking every dollar and cents they can get from that. I think it's best for Angel, to be honest, to be separated from Caitlin Clark. I think, Angel had some eloquent comments the other day where she didn't lump Clark fans all in together. And I don't think it's as deep as it once was, per se, where, the fan bases necessarily hate each other. And I think you could see a lot of Clark fans come around to supporting Angel if Angel's not constantly compared to Caitlin. I think that's part of the problem, was the Rookie of the Year race got so forced down people's throat. But they're always going to be linked to a certain extent, and that's also okay. There's nothing wrong with there being extra attention and suspense and oomph around those games. I mean, who cares? That's sports. I just think the mistake was like overcompensating, in a sense, if you will, around the Rookie of the Year race, and forcing it at every single turn. But you remember when Kathy Engelbert, she got kind of roasted for it. That was the statement that all the PA came out about, because she got the backlash for saying she had to apologize and everything, because she basically said, here, let me pull up the comments real quick so I can read them. She was asked during a CNBC power lunch about how the comments have taken a darker turn online. And she said, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sports and fashion and music. Like, the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons. And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. It is a little bit of that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979, when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to each other. So regardless of any heat she caught for those comments, clearly she still feels the same way. Look at the schedule. The proof is in the schedule. Kevin Zwicker is in the house. I'm working, but the opener will do big numbers, and congrats to Drake for becoming the most streamed artist of all time over the weekend. Well, that's what happens when you make albums full of songs and make 100 of them. In the streaming era, it's a lot easier to game the system, because the more streams, the more sales, the more songs, the more streams, the more sales. It's a simple equation there, Kev. But as far as that Kendrick joint gonna go dummy through February, March, whatever. I don't know how long the riding waves of the Super Bowl will be, but that's going to be a big deal. And if you remember the last time Clark faced Reese, it was on my birthday, actually, and it led to this. Barbie night. Caitlin Clark signing Barbie towels for Sky fans on Barbie night. That was the night it had already been over. Anybody with a brain knew it was over for a while. But that was the night that kicked dirt on the grave of the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese Rookie of the Year discussion. There was no way to get away with ever mentioning that again after that one. It was, yeah, that was something. Karma is a Taylor Swift podcast, says hello, hi. Taylor Swift, the Lynx clown the Fever in their schedule release, and one of the things was they had a mock-up of Clark on a Taylor Swift album cover. But we shall see. We shall see how things go. I mean, the answer to this is simple, Jason, because Sky and Fever games get more attention for the league. Simple. I mean, it's not a. I had some Clark fan account, or I don't even know if they're actually a Clark fan account. I put like a short out earlier today on this, and the comment from them was, or they just know Sky Fever games get a lot of ratings, not that deep. As if what I said initially was deep. I said the WNBA schedule release proved the league sees Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese as a rivalry, which it does. Yet somebody had to be snarky underneath it. I wasn't even fishing for controversy. I was just pointing out that they played each other 5 times and to start the season, and not to mention what Kathy Engelbert said herself. But, you know. Maddox says, my Liberty will face the Aces opening night. I think it's the second day, but yes, it's the opening game for those two respective teams for sure. And that should be, look, that's a rivalry now too, I think. I think you can qualify Aces and Liberty as a rivalry, especially considering the back and forth between the two squads, between Becky Hammon and Brianna Stewart. Remember saying they kept the receipts after they beat the Aces this time around. Twiggy says hi to fellow Caitlin Clark fans. Lindy Smallwood, great opening 4 games. Kelsey is important to the Fever, just showing her respect by putting her as one of the faces of the Fever. Well, yes, but at the same time, she is a free agent. And, you know, she had expressed that her future with the team was not guaranteed. So seeing it out there and used that way is certainly a indication, I would think, from them of what their intentions are as far as who's going to be in uniform for the squad. I mean, it's not done until the contract is signed, but we're talking about next season's team. Jason says the Fever will win 29 games. GOR says early Xmas gifts. I have my tickets for Fever in Brooklyn. Just need to send the release their tickets so I can jump on them too. Oh yeah, those are, I forgot about that. That's interesting as well. When you have the Sun and the Fever playing each other because of clearly, obviously, Stephanie White and her involvement with the Sun, having been the coach and now the coach of the Fever. You know, all of that is interesting too. That's going to be a little bit of a rivalry, I think. Katie says 5 times is excessive. If one team is better than the other, that's going to be boring, LOL. Well, I mean, I think if you're a Fever fan, you like that, right? You could say it's boring, but you want your team to win as much as possible. I believe the Fever could easily go 4-1 against the Sky. I mean, they could go 5-0, but if I were to predict, if I were looking at it now and I'm picking, I would say 4-1 is a favorable prediction. And when you look at the relative quality of each team. Ab Scotland says playing Sky 5 times and Lynx 3 times is a joke. Disrespectful to the idea of a level playing field league. Katie, schedule looks good. Only one back-to-back. Sadly, New York and then Dallas, I think, but I'll take it after last year. Sil says 2 back-to-backs. Let me pull up the schedule again. Hold on 1 second. I should just leave it up, but I'm an idiot, and I didn't. Let's do the quick glance here and see if we can point out the back-to-backs. Still looking. 15th and 16th, back-to-back, Connecticut and New York. And that looks like it. Unless I'm missing it. Yeah. I don't see another back-to-back. Maybe there's 31 days in July, right? So I think they only have one back-to-back on the season. AJ Shriver says, I'm watching you live here and on TikTok. You're everywhere. What does that mean? Oh, are you talking about what I sent you in the chat? There is some TikTok account that has actually started. They're doing work for me. I wish they told me of this because I could probably use this. I've actually had people hit me up about this in the past, and maybe I need to follow up on it. But there's a TikTok account that is chopping up all the clips from my shows and videos and posting them and almost passing themselves off as me. The profile picture is not me, but every video is me. Somebody sent me that the other day. Did I miss another back-to-back? June 27th to 28th? Hold on a second. June 27th. Oh, June 26th and 27th. All right, so it's cut off because I'm an idiot. It's cut off because of the screen. That's what made me miss it, because they're not next to each other. June 26th and 27th, Los Angeles and Dallas. Because one's on one line and one's on the other line. I missed it. And then the other one being the 15th and 16th, Connecticut and New York. So 2 back-to-backs. You are correct. Katie says, really hoping we keep Grace and Temi in the expansion. I know they probably can't both be protected, but I hope we don't lose either. This is what a terrific compliment. Watching you here in Brazil, you cover the WNBA with great competence. There it is. Incredibly competent, not incompetent. How many views do you think Fever in Chicago will bring? Oh, I think it'll be more than last year. So I'm going to say 3 million. What network? I'd have to see the net. Do we have the television schedule yet? It depends what network it's broadcast on, too. Those sort of things matter in issue like that. Kim Kelly says, how come there are so few home games? I'm imagining it's even. So the circled ones are on the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. Yeah, either way. Oh, no, the circle ones are home. I'm sorry. The circle ones are home. The non-circle ones are away. But it's 22-22, so there's not few home games. They're even. Jay Ali says if the W was smart, you put as many games in Washington where the attendance record was broken. Well, I mean, like anywhere they go. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Anywhere they go, I think it's going to draw a crowd. And hopefully that, is the same for other teams as well now. Pete P likes to troll me. You have the access to the schedule yourself, buddy. Eric says Polar is never going to sponsor the channel if people don't click like on this video. I don't know who's clicked like or not, but please like and subscribe to the video and the channel, of course. Did I notice if Paige and Dallas got a killer beginning schedule like Fever were given last year? If not, why not? Well, no, I don't think it's the same, and we know why not. Because Caitlin Clark was the biggest draw in the history of the league. And I don't know if the WNBA even realized how long it was going to last for. So they, the WNBA put all those games up first to capitalize on that. The attendance, the ratings, the numbers. That's why. Paige is popular, but she's not Caitlin Clark popular. As a great philosopher once said, there's levels to this. Jay Ali, Paige ain't going to get the gauntlet schedule. She won't have that same motion coming into the W. Like the Ice Cube thing, guys, too. Like, yeah, look, I'm sure Ice Cube would tell you it's a real offer and would have done it, but I don't think Caitlin was ever going to take that offer. I don't think it helped her in any way. That's basically the news. So I'll just take any more comments that you guys got. I just thought it was worth hopping on for a quick live. I do have to take my son to basketball practice coming up. I'm always taking somebody to some practice. Can you relate? The WNBA and teams that the Fever are visiting need to have their games moved to NBA arenas before the season starts to capitalize on the revenue. Yeah, we'll see, again, as the season unfolds, where this could head, how it could wind up. But that's the direction the league is heading in, where you would think they're going to want to play in bigger arenas and feature those sort of games. Power Extreme says, "Hey, Robin, love your hair. Can they stop pushing Reese?" Well, look, Reese is a star. Reese is a star, and she's popular too. And when she plays Caitlin Clark, they get bigger numbers. So they're going to push that. I don't think she's on the same level of Clark as a player, but let's not sleep on the fact that she's a needle mover in her own right. A little sort of different the way she goes about it, but people do care about Angel Reese. Look at her podcast. She got guests on there I never heard of and still got people watching. Mars Hoops. Did Robin say the Fever would go 4-1 against year 2 Angels? She dropped 15 on them in a whole fourth quarter. Ooh, scary. What happened the last time they played? What was the record last year, head-to-head? Was it not 3-1 Fever? And the Fever are a better team than the Sky, and Clark is a better player than the Fever? Than Angel Reese? Come on. You can try and troll me or whatever, but at least be serious about it. Kevin Zwicker, thoughts on Survivor Series? I thought it was all right. WWE Survivor Series. I thought the women's match opened a little weak, but closed strong. I thought the triple threat was great with Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus. And then I thought the Bloodline War Games match was awesome as well. Nothing really of note came out of it other than the uneasy alliance between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. So an entertaining show, but not particularly memorable other than those two matches, I would say. Yeah, I mean, Clark was signing Barbie towels on Barbie night. Come on. Can you relate? Says the AR narrative will begin or end at the end of the first game of the season. Well, let's be fair to the girl. Come on. Not one game. But you need to see strides from Angel this year, like in improvements from Angel. I think everybody wants to see that. It's been tough seeing LeBron and the Lakers not defend the NBA Cup, I got to say. But they'll always be the first NBA Cup champions. And that's something Michael Jordan will never be able to do, AJ. That's just a fact. I do think the Fever defense, Rick T, will improve under Stephanie White. I think the team as a whole is going to improve under Stephanie White. I think she is an excellent coach. She obviously got the most defensively out of the Connecticut Sun. So there's a lot going for the Fever this year. I don't know which one you're talking about, Mars. I don't think Kennedy Carter is going to be on the Sky this year from the comments I've heard. I would be surprised if Kennedy Carter's on the Sky, I guess I should say. Can you relate? The media will keep the CCAR thing going for ratings. I just want to see great basketball. Yeah, I mean, look, but it got exactly the buzz they wanted, no? I mean, it worked to perfection. Everybody started talking about it immediately. So yeah, again, I don't think Carter's going to be on the Sky. Every time Marsh talks about her, it's like in the past tense. Seems like something went on there. Though she did win the Good Temper Award at the in China. You almost puked when you saw what roster? Power Extreme. I don't know what roster we're talking about. Ernesto, what up, dude? How you doing? I missed all you guys, of course. I'm doing my best, by the way, in this offseason to give you the content that's worth covering and that you guys want. And, you know, to be what's been kind of encouraging is the YouTube itself is actually performing better, I think, than when the season was going. Probably because I hopped on here, you know, the bandwagon early. And then I think that bodes extremely well for next season. Obviously, there's not going to be as much organic interest in the subject matter necessarily when you're not in season and you're only talking about, you know, things that are coming up in the future or cryptic Instagram posts or appearances courtside at games or little factoids, right? And I do wish some of the people would stop with their cryptic because they can't get themselves like Melissa Smith had a cryptic post, and I hope everything is good with her. But she put out a post today that said, or a story that said, it's all about knowing your worth. Don't stay nowhere you're not wanted and appreciated. Apparently, her brother came out and said that that wasn't about basketball. But how can anyone possibly tell when, you know, the expansion draft is coming up and that's what, you know, why else are you saying that on your Instagram story? I guess is what I would say. But I didn't do a whole video around it because of what the brother said. Look, Mars, I think Reese can have I think Reese can become a great player. She has the ability to become a great player if she refines her layups and shot and everything. But it's just an asinine proposition to put her in the same stratosphere as Caitlin Clark now. And I don't think she's ever going to. I mean, I just, and it's not even a shot at Reese. I just think Caitlin Clark is the best prospect in the history of the sport. You know, it's as simple as that. When you look at the fact that she broke the NCAA all-time scoring record, she led the nation in points and assists. She goes to the WNBA, immediately takes a bottom feeder team to the playoffs while producing more points than any player in the history of the league ever had before as a rookie. And she was top 25 in both blocks and steals. You know, please like and subscribe. Any comments after the show, I will get to as well. Don't plan on being here too long, but since you know, it did come out, it was worth discussing. Look at this. They did put Melissa Smith on the Commissioner's Cup poster coming up. She's not featured as prominently as, say, Kelsey Mitchell, but she is on that graphic. We'll know soon enough who the Valkyries draft. That's coming up this week. That is coming up this week. Fever play the Sun in Boston. Talk about taking the show on the road. So that's the TD Garden game, is against the Fever. The Commissioner's Cup and the NBA Cup are the same thing, AJ. Same thing. Same deal. All right, that's about what I got for y'all today. Any other comments? Let them get them in the next couple minutes here. I'm not going to stay on for the sake of staying on. Just wanted to say hello on this beautiful Monday afternoon. And, you know, I can't expect people to be that pumped about games that don't take place till May. But it was the best news we've gotten in a while. Not to mention, you know, most basketball-related news, I guess, we've gotten in a while. And then the expansion draft, I think, will provide for some good content later this week as well. So maybe I'll jump on for another live around that. Obviously, be covering that as well. Oh, yeah. Shout out to AJ for what he did for Kevin's channel, which is the Fast Count. You can check out Kevin's channel, which started as a result of this channel. And so real quick, for those of you who aren't aware, when I started this channel, it didn't have the focus it has now, but I did have my diehard fans like Kevin and AJ there, and we developed a bit of a bond around my plight at the time and the start of the channel. It's since morphed into what it's become, obviously, and I've run with that. But I'd done videos with Kevin in the beginning about Drake. You can still see him on the channel. The Drake fan, Kendrick supporter and Drake fan, I think, or something like that was the title of each one. I think it was Kendrick supporter and Drake fan. Argue about the various topics throughout that battle, and we did some wrestling videos. But Kevin started his own wrestling channel, the Fast Count, so make sure you subscribe and check that out. And AJ's not even a wrestling fan, and he went to an AEW show in Chicago, which is the second biggest wrestling company, but far below WWE. Kevin, not trying to offend you, just telling the people the truth. And AJ wore a bunch of he had Kevin's merchandise made up. He had merchandise made up around Kevin's YouTube channel, was passing it out at the show. So it just It just goes to show you the bonds that have been built. So shout out to AJ and Kevin for that. Ernesto says the OG bloodline, yeet, yeet. Isaac Benton says Reese is trash. Great rebounder, though. Trash is very strong. She's not trash. We don't have to go too far in any direction. Well, I mean, Kevin, it is far below WWE. Like that, it's okay to say. That's not even a diss. Like it's like saying a library is a place you can get books. You know, it just is what it is. I'm a CC Goat fan, says PP. We know. Caitlin and Reese are two different styles of players. I don't know if it auto corrected your Caitlin. They're going to be compared forever. It is what it is. It is what it is. So the players that win the Commissioner Cup are getting paid in crypto. Look at this. I'm reading this as I go here. Each player in the WAT that wins the Commissioner's Cup will get paid $5,000 in crypto. Bitcoin, at least? I don't even know how crypto works exactly. Crypto. I mean, I guess $5,000 in crypto, the right crypto could wind up more than regular cash. I don't know. You could just pay them cash. It's probably due to some sort of sponsorship deal. Is what it is. I'm not going to get too bent out of shape over it. I mean, it's ridiculous, but a lot of the people that don't like her have one thing in common. I don't even know what we're talking about, but I don't think the Reese and Clark thing is a black and white thing. I really don't. I mean, obviously, it got hyped that way because one is black and one is white. Angel Reese is far from the only black player in the WNBA. There are many black players in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is far from the only white player in the WNBA. There are other elite white players in the WNBA. I think, obviously, that was part of how the media used it to fuel, but I don't really think it's that way from fans. And as I've told you a million times, Caitlin Clark's fan base is huge and enormous and includes a lot of black folks as part of her fan base, including some of the most ardent Caitlin Clark supporters in the CCFC I have encountered and spoken with happen to be black individuals. So I think it's reductive to make it a black and white thing. There are plenty of black fans who like Caitlin Clark more than Angel Reese, a lot of them. And then I'm sure there are some white fans who like Angel Reese more than Caitlin Clark. Obviously, the Caitlin Clark and Iowa section is going to be riled up about Angel Reese because of college. I think that connection. And not to say that there isn't some racial identification or allegiance in that way. I'm sure it exists as well. But I don't think it's as driving a narrative as the media would make it seem like, because it allows them to then take the whole thing and make it into a social and cultural deal. and that's been one of the things. And, like people could say the rivalry's been milked too much and this is overkill. That's also a fair critique, but it is. It didn't come from nowhere. Let's put it that way. Talk about it all the time. I didn't refuse to talk about race, Justin. I just did talk about race. Just because you didn't agree with what I said about race doesn't mean I didn't talk about race. What would you like me to say about race? I am a white dude who lived with black people for many years of my life, who played on sports teams that were almost all black except for me, who married into a family that is not white. And I have watched and observed this entire thing. So to speak as if Angel Reese is the champion of black people and black people hate Caitlin Clark is just false. Not to say there aren't people who identify with Angel Reese because she is a black woman. Not to say that that isn't a part of that explosion. Obviously, it is part of that cocktail. But Caitlin Clark is so popular. She's got fans of all races, genders, what have you. So to simplify it just to some sort of race war is stupid, to be quite frank. I mean, to act like Caitlin Clark is only good on one side of the ball, she's not that bad on the defensive side of the ball, and she's likely to improve. She's an excellent help defender. For a guard, she's a great shot blocker. She's obviously a smart team player. Can she stand to get a little bit better at times? Yeah. But anytime also you're that much of an offensive engine, it's going to be hard to be the defensive stalwart. But, the idea of this defense thing is just the new way to try to hate on Caitlin Clark. As Reese said the other day, Mars Hoops, all fans are nasty towards one another. She was asked whether the Clark fans have crossed the line, and she says not the Clark fans, it's all fans. That's Reese's own words. Do you think the hatred of Angel Reese has nothing to do with race? Nothing? No, I don't think it has nothing to do with race. I think race is a factor amongst some people. Do I think it mostly has to do with this in light of Clark and then the constant comparisons between the two? Yes. Because I don't think, that could have been a non-black player doing that and it would have gotten a similar reaction, I think. And it's the weird thing about Angel Reese. When you're critical about Angel Reese, people try to make it a race thing when there are so many different black players in the league too. Or I said the other day, even, I think I put it in a post that I wasn't convinced completely that Juju was better than like Hidalgo and Flage and these other players in college. And people were like, well, the media needs a black player to prop up. And I didn't even know what the comment was about because I only named players who weren't white. I think it's gotten high. I think that got hijacked a bit. To say nothing to do? No, I won't say nothing. But I don't think it's everything or even the driving force. I mean, KC 2024, Clark gets hated on every day. People go out of their way to. Clark gets sneak hated on in Paige Becker's praise videos. Like I saw that Paige Becker's praise video that really was just a way to sneak this Caitlin Clark. She gets hated on all the Caitlin Clark. Imagine if we saw what her mentions look. She just don't talk about it. She just keeps it pushing and keep it moving. I mean, Angel clapped back at that one dude, and she's within her rights to do that. But to think that Caitlin Clark, I guarantee you, if you saw her DMs and her mentions, It's just not a story. It's not as entertaining a storyline because Angel has been cast sort of as the villain and cast herself as the villain. I mean, she said that. Well, they did expand the season, David. So, but usually it's relatively evenly distributed. Things like divisions play a role in it, but it is noteworthy that the Fever play the Sky more than everybody else. Check this real quick. Hang on. Just checking something. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Okay, that is done. All right, y'all. Yeah, I mean, this is true too. The NBA players, the WNBA is the softest league I've ever seen in my life. It's so soft. At least like the influencers online and whatever, where everybody's crying about it. There's a certain way there, lines can be crossed, and no one is saying that they should be crossed, and no one is saying that anyone should ever be on the receiving end of anything horrendous or horrible. I mean, I've been on the receiving end of horrible messages. Trust me, I know what that looks like, but I don't know how to prevent that. But in general, there seems like there was a backlash to the Fever posting a graphic of Aaliyah Boston blocking Dejanay Carrington. And Aaliyah Boston did block Dejanay Carrington. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like people going, oh, this is so distasteful. No, it wasn't. It was what a sports team does. And that kind of softness is just out of control. From the crybaby bullies. That's what I've called them, the crybaby bullies. The ones who want you to be reverent to everyone else but Caitlin Clark and respect the league, whatever, and don't like anything, but then cry about whatever you do, no matter how you do it. Just to get attention, really. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's ironic that the Fever admin took heat from WNBA media for their AB animated block, but with all other teams posting videos dissing other teams, it's funny and acceptable. Look, nobody make any disrespectful. I see some of the stuff in the chat. I'm not putting up no disrespectful comments towards Reese or Clark back and forth between her fans, please. We're not platforming blatant, disgusting things and hate. Stop. When did I get annoyed, Mars Hoops? When people that talk about the success of the WNBA make an effort to include Reese. Well, making an effort is annoying because you shouldn't need to make an effort to include something that is clear. So I'm just telling you the truth. And I am not hating on Angel Reese because Angel Reese is a star. I mean, look, I'm looking right in the camera. Angel Reese is a star. There is no question about that. And the better she plays, the more she can add to her game, the more her star power can grow as a basketball player. As is, she already had a very good rookie season, is exceptional at one aspect of the game, and has used that to translate it to success off the court. But Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-lifetime sort of figure from a popularity standpoint, and it's not close. Like it's just not. I see the data. I see the metrics on page views. I see the metrics on video views. I've seen the ratings. I've seen the attendance. I've seen the discourse. I've seen the jersey sales. I've seen any way you can possibly measure this thing. There's Caitlin Clark, and then there's everybody else. Right now, Angel Reese very well may be the second biggest female basketball player in the world. Just the gap between 1 and 2 is enormous. So, yes, when the question is about Caitlin Clark or the discussion is about something she accomplished and people try to shoehorn Angel Reese in or something, that can be annoying. Or force a Rookie of the Year race where one does not exist in order to prop up whatever it is they think they're propping up. With that said, Angel Reese is indeed a star. Fair? Because that's the only thing I'm going to tell you. AJ says people confuse star with great player, in a sense. Chris says first in primary skills, no one builds this. Look, I think Angel in her current form is best suited to play off of others, but that doesn't mean she can't get there either. Got a lot of people who have joined in as I've been rolling here. Where are we at numbers wise before I sign off? But yeah. I'm not sure. Nancy has joined, but she says the WNBA. Jay Ali says the Sky didn't sell out a single game last year aside from the Fever. Looks like they were Angel popular with that gesture. Look, Clark, I found it fascinating when I saw the rookie numbers that showed her games were up like 30% over the relative games in her freshman season. And then that number jumped to like 100% bigger than all the other games in her sophomore season. Then we saw, I did a video on Clark that went viral before the Angel Reese thing. The South Carolina game had more views than the Angel Reese game the most recent. Now that was built off of that. Not to say that that wasn't a huge cultural moment. It was. And not to say that Angel didn't have some sort of following before that too. She did. But it was not the moment that made Caitlin Clark popular. I do think it did more for Angel than Caitlin. At the same time, they both would have been fine without it. It just was there's a new interview with Coach White. I'll have to check it out. An easy talking point. It's certainly for casual fans. It brought a lot of casual fans in. I mean, you could make a case it's the most significant single moment in the history of women's basketball. All right, guys. I'm not going to argue back and forth about the stupid ring gesture anymore. I just gave you the concrete data that Caitlin Clark was popular before that. Her highlight went viral before that. Kevin Durant was talking about her before that. Her ratings outdid everybody else's ratings before that. I mean, it just did that add fuel to the fire? Of course it did. Of course it did, but it's a stupid thing to argue about, and both are popular now. Justin says Magic and Bird's rivalry has a lot to do with race. Why is CC and Reese different? Big fan, by the way. I don't think the CC and Reese thing is as much a rivalry. I guess it is now. I guess the WNBA is leaning into it. The way I've said it is Caitlin is Michael, Magic, and Bird all rolled in one, like the Jay-Z line. Race is a factor, an element. Even when I look back on Magic and Bird, I don't think of race as the driving factor either, other than one guy was white and one guy was black. One guy was like podunk. The other guy was Hollywood. There were a lot of things that factored into that cocktail. And yes, race was one of them. Just like this, same thing, race was one of them. And it allows the CNNs of the world to jump on the topic. But for the average basketball fan, do I think they are viewing it like white girl, black girl? No. Is it part of the equation? Yes. It's just a nuance thing. And thank you, by the way. I don't, But even when I look back and think of Magic and Bird, I'm not thinking black guy, white guy as the driving thing. Of course, that was part of it. How come no one seems to be worried about the horrible job White did at Vanderbilt? Because we just saw what she did at Connecticut. Simple as that. I mean, college is about recruiting and stuff like that, too. Magic and Bird were very skillful coming out of college. The comparison doesn't work with CC and Angel. I mean, I think that's part of the problem, too, is, to me, there is such a much bigger gap between Clark and Reese than there was between Magic and Bird, who were very close to equals throughout their career, where you could argue either way. But Angel meeting up with Caitlin drives interest. Clear as day. Clear as day. All right, y'all. That will do it for me. Appreciate everybody in this chat as always. Feel free to bring any topic to the table. I'll answer it and discuss it with you honestly. Just giving you my honest opinion. And it was nice to see some news when it comes to the WNBA schedule release. Until next time, everybody, eat.